live right now.
Yeah, but I don't know if anybody's joined. So it'd be
They'll
nice
just
to
show up.
see.
We just have to start talking.
All right. Thank you all for joining us. We're doing this live talk on protein on a vegan diet. And right now we're just kind of waiting a couple minutes for people to hop on and join. And then we're going to get started. Basically, we just want to let everybody know about protein on a vegan diet, you know, how much you need, where to get it, all that, because, you know, we get a lot of questions, especially, you know, Marissa wanted to do this because of coworkers mainly at her work with a lot of questions and doubts about getting enough protein on a vegan diet. So we are going to be talking about that, and feel free to comment and ask questions while we're going through this, because we want to get all your questions answered. That's the whole point of this video, is to you know, educate everybody and let everybody know, you know, exactly how to get efficient protein and what is enough protein and all that. So we're just going to wait here a couple minutes, and feel free to comment. And we've got two phones going on live right now, two different Facebook Lives, so we are kind of, if we're not looking right at you, then you know, we're kind of looking into one camera or the other. But all right, so we got a few people, and you guys will be able, I'll have this on YouTube as well, so you can check this out later. But I think we'll just go ahead and start asking the questions, and Marissa's kind of going to do like a little interview style thing, and I'll just answer the questions. So she's got a few questions for me, so you can go ahead and ask me.
I do. Okay, so the main question that people ask is, where do you get your protein from on a vegan diet?
Yeah, so the first thing I'll say is that everything, basically, unless it's super processed and all the protein's been taken out of it, all food, natural food, is going to have protein, whether it's meat or whether it's, you know, plants. There's plenty of protein in plants, and some vegans even get more protein on a plant-based diet than a lot of meat eaters do, just by eating a lot of high protein stuff like soy and beans and things like that. And you know, I also want to say that all protein initially comes from plants. You know, that's where our meat gets their protein. People that are eating meat, that's where, you know, the animals get their protein, is initially it comes from the plants. Only plants have the amino acids that can build up protein and you know, provide it for the animals. And that's really what we're looking for, is those amino acids, and not necessarily the whole proteins that are found in animals. So, you know, you really, people talk about getting enough protein, but there's really no such thing as a protein deficiency unless you are just not eating enough, unless you are completely malnourished in every area and you're just not eating enough food. That's really the only way to become protein deficient. If you're eating enough, then the food that you eat is going to have plenty of protein for the human body. So
That's a good, that's great.
and sorry, it's kind of hard to see comments and stuff like that.
Comment on it, see it.
So sorry if we missed some of your comments. This is our first Facebook Live talk, so I'm still trying to figure it out, but go ahead.
All right, awesome. Do you want to go ahead and answer Daniel's question?
Yeah, so somebody commented saying, you know, he's wanting to go, I think he's wanting to go vegan, but maybe he's not going full vegan yet, and he's been on maybe a pretty poor diet for a while, so he's just wondering how to, without going fully vegan, how to transition to, I guess, a better diet. And, you know, I have to say that human beings are a frugivore species. We've been told that we're omnivores. And actually, the man who came up with the whole chart of omnivores, carnivores, herbivores, frugivores, the person who made that, you know, these descriptions for animals, originally categorized humans as a frugivore species, not an omnivore species. Humans have never been omnivores, and we are just like all of our closest great ape relatives. that we share most of our DNA with and most of our biology with. They're all frugivorous species, meaning they eat mostly fruit and some leafy greens, and maybe some insects every once in a while. But yeah, we are a frugivore species, and that is our diet, is fruits and leafy greens. And so it's kind of hard to get to an optimal state of health if you are not going by your species-specific diet, which for us is the fruits and leafy greens. And I have to say that, no meat is really going to be good for you. We're just not designed for it. It's honestly too much protein for our body to handle. And so you really want to cut all meat out of your diet if you can, and all dairy as well, because we're not designed to eat dairy either. It's just not part of our biology or our physiology. So I would just say cut down on as much meat as you can. Definitely try and get rid of as much dairy as possible, milk and cheese. It's all going to accumulate fat and mucus in the body and turn your cells acidic, and just create a lot of toxic waste matter in the body that is going to build up, and it's going to make you sick and cause disease. And so you don't want any of that in you. So cut down on as much meat and dairy as you can. Just try and stick with whole foods. I personally eat a raw vegan diet, so I don't eat really any cooked food at all. But if you are going to eat cooked food, just keep it simple, maybe some rice and beans or something like that. And so that's going to be the best way to, transition to a better diet if you've been eating, a pretty poor diet for most of your life.
Let's see if they have any questions.
Sorry, we're checking for comments.
Somebody said they're picking some morning leaves in between.
Yeah. My friend Scott.
That's so cool. You said Nathan joined. We love how.
All right.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yep. So at any time, if you guys have any questions, just go ahead and comment, and we'll try to get to them. The topic's protein. So, and like I said, we were doing this mostly for a lot of Marissa's friends who weren't really sure about how to get protein on a vegan diet. So, if you just have any simple questions, then go ahead. But if you have any more questions for me.
Usually people say, how much protein do you actually need?
Yeah, okay.
So this is a question. So how much protein do you actually need? I get that a lot as well.
Yep. And so, just like I said before, unless you're just completely not eating enough, there's not really any such thing as a protein deficiency. And to be honest with you, humans need less protein per weight than pretty much any other animal on the planet. And how we can tell that is by actually mother's milk. The breast milk of a human has less protein than any other breast milk, any other milk from any other animal on the planet. We need less protein than pretty much any other animal on the planet. And to be honest with you, the only reason that we've been fed all this propaganda about protein and all these myths about protein, that we need protein and we got to have a bunch of protein and we need meat, is honestly the animal agriculture industry trying to make a profit. The animal agriculture industry is a $1 trillion industry. They make tons and tons of money off of, making people believe that we need meat to thrive and be healthy. But to be honest, it's not true. We're a frugivore species, but they've convinced us to think that we're omnivores and that we need a lot of protein. But to be honest with you, the ideal protein level for a human being is anywhere from 2 to probably 6%. In my opinion, that is completely optimal from all your calories. And most people think we need a ton of protein from meat, and you're eating like 30, 40, 50% of meat that you're eating is made up of protein, and it's too much for our body to handle. The protein that you get is subpar compared to plant protein because it's already built up protein that our body can't utilize. Our body has to break protein down into amino acids and then rebuild it up. And that's what you're doing when you eat meat, is it has to break down all these tough proteins and rebuild it into amino acids so that way your body can use it specifically, make specific proteins for your specific body. And so you really want to get your amino acids from the plant, so that way your body can just right away build up the protein that it needs from the amino acids and utilize that. And okay, what exactly was the question again?
How much protein do you actually need?
Yeah, so people are getting like 30, 40, 50% of their calories and protein from meat, when really the optimal protein level is probably anywhere from 2 to 6%, which is the amount that you find in fruits. It's the amount that you find in mother's milk. And the thing here is, when we're babies and we're children, that's when we need protein the most. That's when our body is growing at a rapid rate, and it's the time when our body needs protein more than ever. You know, we're doubling in size in a matter of months, pretty much. And so our body really needs protein. And what you find in milk is about less than 3% of calories in mother's milk is protein. It's all you need. And to think that you should wean off 3% protein and go straight to things like dairy and meat, which are so high in protein that our bodies can't handle it, and it's so acidic and so toxic to try and eat that much protein, especially if it's not coming in the form of simple, pure amino acids. It's really going to do a lot of damage to our body. We really are just designed to thrive on fruits and leafy greens, which is about less than 10% protein from all our calories. And the other thing I want to point out is, with our frugivorous cousins, you know, our great ape relatives, the chimpanzees, the orangutans, the gorillas. Think about this. A gorilla, on average, is about 5 times more muscular and stronger than a human being. And what do they eat? Where do they get their protein? It's from fruits and leafy greens. And if a giant gorilla who's 5 times more muscular than a human being can get plenty of protein and thrive on fruits and leafy greens, then why do we humans believe that we need more than that to, you know, build muscle and all that? It's a bunch of, you know, poppycock, as John Rose would put it, from the animal agriculture industry to get us to buy their products and buy into, you know, what they're selling us. We're not designed to eat meat. We're not an omnivorous species. We never were. And yeah.
Awesome. We got a couple of questions.
Okay,
I think.
sweet.
But one thing that Scott said that I really thought was really cool, he says humans say, how much protein do we need? Nature say just eat fruit and be cool. So
Yep.
I thought that was really funny. And
Scott's always got some good wisdom.
yeah. Thank you, Shauna. She said this is good. This is sweet. And then we're going to answer Marianne's question. She said, what are the effects of too much protein?
Yeah, so...
It's a good question.
Yep, very good. So you're definitely getting way too much protein from eating meat, but even as a vegan, you can get too much protein. Everyone's so caught up on protein, and in my opinion, it's the last thing you need to worry about.
Okay.
Protein is just not much of a concern if you're eating enough. And people think we just need to slam the protein and we need to get more protein. And so even a lot of vegans are concerned about this. We're taking, you know, vegan protein powders and eating the beans and all these protein-rich plant foods. And to be honest with you, in my opinion, anything above 15 or 20% protein is going to be too much for the body to handle. Your body just cannot utilize that much protein. And so what's going to happen is it's going to cause acidity and toxicity, and it's going to overwork your body. And so you're just going to be, you know, acidifying your body. It's going to get toxic. You're going to be, you're going to probably break out and things like that. Just all these different things can form, and too much fat and too much protein is the leading cause of, you know, diseases like heart disease, cancer, diabetes. It's all just way too much fatty, acidic protein coming mostly from our meat and dairy. And you'll find that the countries that consume the highest amounts of meat and dairy are also the countries that have the most rates of cancer, heart disease, osteoporosis, which is, you know, bone degeneration, diabetes. That's still going?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it's just, you can clearly see this from any true study, but the reason that these studies aren't talked about, and these studies are not, nobody knows about these studies for the most part, is that, they're done by researchers who typically don't have a whole lot of funds, and the media and the mass advertising is mostly controlled by the animal agriculture industry, and these different industries, the medical industry, who are looking to profit. And so they do everything they can to make sure that their studies done by them gets out to make us think we need all this protein and all this meat and dairy, and they make sure to suppress the true studies that are really beneficial for our health, and try to cover those up and not let those leak out, and not have those in the mass media, so that way they can continue to sell their propaganda to us and make money off of us basically being sick and eating a diet that we're not really meant to eat.
That's good.
So, did I answer the question?
I think you did. I think you did, yes. I have a question. How do you feel about protein powder?
I don't really recommend it. It's kind of, first of all, you don't need it. I mean, nobody needs that much protein. And I personally just like to look at nature. What are the animals doing? What are our closest relatives, the chimpanzees, doing? No other animal is protein deficient. No other animal needs protein powders to thrive and, be their best and be optimally healthy. And we don't need to either. We just need to eat our species-specific diet. We need to eat the diet that nature provided for us. Everybody's eating such an unnatural diet. These cooked foods that turn toxic because of the high heat, all this meat and dairy, all these even plant foods that we're not meant to eat. We're just so toxic. And we've got so much disease, and it's all from diet for the most part. And a lot of it's from environment as well. But it's pretty much all diet. And so, can't remember where I was going with that.
It's okay. We got another question, though.
Okay. Go ahead
Okay,
and answer
we're going to
that.
answer another question from Mary Ann. And she said, when diet programs like Atkins tell you to eat mostly protein to lose weight, what is your body really doing? Sounds scary.
Eat protein
That's a good
to
question.
lose weight? Protein, protein is mostly here to help different biological functions in the body and do a little bit of maintaining and repair work for the body. We really don't need that much. And taking protein, I can't see how taking protein is going to help you lose weight. Just too much protein just turns the body acidic, and it really just creates back up in the lymph system, because you've got all these acids. And I know a lot of people don't really know that much about the lymph system. And the lymph system is our body's basically sewer waste system. When our cells are just like us, they need to eat, and they also need to basically excrete their waste matter. And so the blood provides food. When you eat your food, the nutrition goes into the bloodstream and feeds every cell in your body. And now, guess what? Every cell in your body has to use the bathroom as well. They got to get rid of their waste matter just like us. And when they get rid of their waste matter, it goes into the lymph system. And the lymph system is supposed to get filtered by the kidneys, and then we pee out the toxic waste. But when you're eating that much protein, the lymph system gets backed up. There's so much acidity, the body can't handle it, and that's when disease starts to form, is when mostly from protein, too much protein and too much fat. And so I just can't see how eating a bunch of protein is going to help you lose weight. You really just want to worry about getting enough carbohydrates and enough, high water content fruits and leafy greens. That's what's really going to help you lose the weight, not the fat or protein.
She said they say your body goes into ketosis.
Okay, so ketosis is when you are eating It's when basically you don't have enough carbohydrates, so your body kicks into what's called ketosis, which is a fat burning mode. It starts using fat for fuel, and your body doesn't actually use fat as fuel. It just turns fat into more carbohydrates. It converts the fats into carbohydrates so our body can utilize it. The only fuel that your body can utilize is basically from food is carbohydrates. And so people are doing this ketogenic diet, and they think that they're going to be losing fat because their body's going into a fat burning mode. These people are eating like 80% fat for their diet at least to get into this ketogenic state. But you may lose a little weight in the beginning because your body's going into a fat burning mode, but you're still eating a bunch of fat, you know. It's like they're trying to lose fat by eating fat, and it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, and it's not good for your body to be in ketosis. It's like our body's backup supply of energy. Your body should not be really going into that state. We want to have the carbohydrates, which are the real fuel for our body. We want to have the simple sugars that are going to keep us energized and keep us going. And when you get into ketosis, it's like, you know, it's your body's like reserve fats. You don't want to really get into that. Except maybe in the beginning stages when you're burning off all that fat, but really you want to make sure you have enough carbohydrates to fuel yourself at all times. And I don't really support the ketogenic diet just because I know how bad a high-fat diet is for your body, how, you know, weak it can make you and how slow it makes you. You know, if I eat too much fat or protein, I just feel like crap. I feel terrible, I feel slow, I start breaking out. You know, I get gassy. That's another downside to protein, is it gives you, you know, some pretty bad gas. It makes you really gassy. Even the vegans who are eating too much like beans and stuff like that, it's too much protein and our body can't break it down properly, and so we've got bacteria in us that aren't supposed to be in us trying to break this stuff down, and their waste matter stinks and it's not supposed to be in us. So as for me as a raw vegan, you know, I basically never have gas because my body is just, it's got all the right bacteria that needs to be in it, and I'm not getting a bunch of bad bacteria that's creating all this gassy crap. And so I almost never have gas, and when I do, it's like, what was that, like maybe once a week I'll get a little gas that doesn't even smell. So that's an awesome benefit to a raw vegan diet. But see, we have any other questions?
Not at the moment. Those are some really good questions. If y'all have more, feel free to comment. This is amazing. Thank you guys for sharing this. Actually, I got a lot of shares on it as well.
Awesome.
So
Do you
we
have any
appreciate
more
that.
questions, or is that pretty much it?
What about pregnant women?
Okay, so
So we're gonna talk about like
for pregnant women,
pregnant women.
I mean, it's the same thing, you know. Does a chimpanzee change its diet when it's pregnant? No. And humans shouldn't either. We're a frugivore species. Our diet is supposed to be fruit and leafy greens, and that is what we're biologically designed for. And so why would we change that because of pregnancy or because of anything else? We shouldn't.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
want my baby to be healthy.
Yeah, we
Very
just gotta go
healthy.
with our natural diet. We just go with what nature provided us,
Yeah.
and that's about it. And then, so also before we leave, I just want to talk really quickly about muscle and bodybuilding, because, you know,
That's huge.
people think that you got to have a bunch of protein to build muscle, but protein does not build muscle. Only working out your, you know, your body, only tearing down the muscles to rebuild it, that's going to build muscle, not protein. And the reason people look like they're getting so big on protein is not because of the muscle that they're building. It's because of the toxic, they're literally inflaming their arms. They've also got a lot of fat from the dairy and the meat that is tucked away in their tissue, and it's like a big balloon. They are literally, you know, they talk about getting swole, but they are literally swelling up from inflammation and fat and too much water weight, trying to combat the acidity from meat and dairy. And so, you know, it's why you see all these big bodybuilders who are eating tons of meat and dairy, getting all that protein, slamming the protein, and they're like dropping dead in the gym at age 40. And, you know, they just are toxic on the inside. They may look big and good on the outside, but their insides are dying. and you know, they're just not healthy, and they've got so much, you know, plaque and in their arteries and such a backed up lymph system that you know, they're just toxic and just totally in for heart disease and cancer and diabetes and all that. So, you know, you want to be clean on the inside, and you can build a lot of muscle just off of fruits and leafy greens. You know, look up people like Fruit and Strength. His name is Mike Vlacity, and he eats a fruitarian diet, pretty much all fruit and just maybe some salads. And the dude is awesome. He's big. He's you know, he's swole. He can, I mean, he's just putting people to shame that are on the meat. And same, just look up vegan bodybuilders. And actually, the only weightlifter in America to make it to the Olympics, and the last Olympics, was 100% vegan. So basically, awesome. America's top weightlifter here in America is 100% vegan. So that should tell you something. When you're clean on the inside, when you're eating what nature provided for you and what you're naturally supposed to have, then, I mean, that's when you get strong. That's when you feel great. You have energy. And, I mean, any vegan that I talk to, bodybuilder, is like, yeah, when I switched to vegan, like, my game just skyrocketed.
I agree.
Yep, so.
I agree with that. So Marion said, you've given me a lot of food for thought. I've never considered trying a vegan diet before, but I think I will definitely make some adjustments. That is amazing.
Yeah,
we appreciate
awesome.
that.
Yeah, and you know, I can't really prove this to any of you, but I will say, you know, you can prove it to yourself. Try it out for a couple weeks and see how you feel.
Yeah.
You know, don't take my word for it, just try it out. And you know, you don't want to be ignorant to it, you know. Condemnation without investigation is the height of ignorance. And so you don't want to just say, oh, this is nonsense, and just ignore this knowledge and not even try it out. You know, you want to prove it to yourself and see if it really works or not. And I can guarantee you, if you go vegan for a couple weeks, I mean, you're going to feel the benefits. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree, because I'm on day 8 of a fully being a vegan, and I feel amazing. You know, I feel great. I feel healthy. I feel clean and everything. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you.
So that's probably about it. Unless you guys have any other questions, we'll probably leave it open for just a few more minutes for more questions.
My mom joined. Hey, Mom. I love the music in the background. You know? Yeah, I think this was really good. I feel like we answered basically everything. Yeah, I know we're talking quietly. Oh well.
All right, well, I think that's going to be it for this live video.
Thank you guys so much for watching. We appreciate it so much.
Yeah, for
Thank
sure.
you.
I'm sure I'm going to upload this on my YouTube channel, so if you do want to learn more about, you know, veganism, raw veganism, and just the human diet in general, and get more of an understanding, because this was just kind of a little thing on protein, then check out my YouTube channel. It's Abundant Source Raw.
Thank you.
So, yeah, go check that out if you
Very
want more info on this. And I think that's going to be it.
Great YouTube channel. Check it out.
All right, y'all. Thank you guys so much for watching. We're peacing out. Bye.
Love y'all.